days. Tuesday is when the statewide election happens here in the state of Oklahoma. And the biggest race in the state of Oklahoma is for the governor's mansion between the incumbent, Republican Mary Fallin, and her challenger, Representative Joe Dorman, the Democrat, who is with us on Flashpoint today. Now, for all of you Mary fans out there, we did offer Mary the same date a few weeks ago. They couldn't work it into their schedule, so so be it. We know schedules can be tough sometimes, but Joe is here, and we appreciate you being with us. How's it been running for governor, man?
It's been an amazing experience. Having the chance to travel around the state, visiting with Oklahomans all over this great state, it's been tremendous. Learning about their issues that they're facing, their problems, and listening and trying to come up with solutions and committing to them that I would work hard as their governor.
How are you different than Mary Fallin?
Right off the bat, I'm impressed.
You got different hair, parts his hair differently.
Okay. Hey, by the way, have you been to all 77 counties?
I have been to all 77 counties.
That's the ultimate test for any gubernatorial candidate.
Alfalfa County was the final stop where I had the opportunity to attend the Main Street banquet, and they included me in their skit, which was a comedy skit, and that was a lot of fun and a great memory. I'm not going to go into any more details.
But you played Alfalfa Bill Murray.
My wife was born in Alfalfa County.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic.
Burlington, Oklahoma.
The differences between myself and Governor Fallin, our perspective on how we would deal with the issues and the problems. We have seen many Oklahomans that are suffering right now. We've heard the discussion about the commerce and the economy, but 1 in 4 kids in Oklahoma are going to bed hungry every single night. Oklahoma is the 3rd highest rate in the nation for workers earning only a minimum wage. We've got to work to improve the Main Street businesses. We've got to provide business opportunities. I want my Department of Commerce to be an entity that works from the bottom up, not the top down, not a one-size-fits-all approach. We've got to work with those local economic development directors. As you know, we've seen great success in Oklahoma City. We've got to spread that to Durant, to Idabel, to Guyman, all across this great state.
Well, I would argue that Durant and Ardmore and Lawton and Enid, really those regional cities are doing pretty well. It's the smaller cities that really are struggling. And quite frankly, I don't know if the governor can fix that, whoever the governor is.
Okay, how would you?
Work with those local economic development directors to find the obstacles that they're facing, overcome those, provide the opportunities that they need, work to get high-speed internet, better cellular service. I was driving around Idabel this past week. Cell phone wouldn't work. You're not going to see businesses locate to areas where there are issues like that. They feel isolated from the rest of the state. We've got to work to find a way to do the outreach and get them included in where everyone in our state feels like they're included in Oklahoma.
What about their schools, education? Take that issue and run with it.
Education, by far the most important issue this election cycle. People have seen what's happened over the last 4 years with high-stakes testing, the 3rd grade high-stakes tests, the end of instruction exams, the cuts in the funding, $200 million cut out of our budget. We've got to do a better job of putting those resources back in place. It's ridiculous our schools do not have enough textbooks for the kids to take home. Those textbooks are often held together by duct tape. We've got to do a better job of investing in that most precious resource, our kids.
Joe, I've said many times on this show, really, we have the lowest teacher pay in the region, and it shouldn't be that way. It hasn't always been that way, but it shouldn't be that way. So I'm with you on that. But where are you on parental choice for schools? How about creating some competition, particularly in metro areas? What do you
talking about choice schools?
I'm talking about
charter schools.
Charter schools. I'm talking about, Governor Henry signed a bill, Lindsay Nicole Henry bill, that gives a voucher to students with special needs. Where are you on those things?
I'm opposed to the voucher system. We've got to work to bring that investment into our public schools. We've got to make sure that the public schools that are there provide those opportunities for the kids. If we turn our back on the public schools,
if a parent thinks that their special needs child, the bill Governor Henry signed, you're opposed to that. If a parent thinks their special needs child's needs are not being met in the public schools, you're opposed to giving them some of their money back to get their child's needs met somewhere else.
I'm in favor of bringing the funding into those public schools so they can have those opportunities.
So you're for a public school monopoly?
I'm in favor of public schools providing the resources to those kids at a cost-effective rate. We've got to make sure that those kids have the opportunities. Many parents can't afford to send their kids to a private school. We've got to present those opportunities for kids to have the best education possible. We've got to overcome those opportunities with autism and dyslexia. We've got to make sure that the schools no longer just diagnose as a learning disorder, but treat those kids individually and give them opportunities.
How about charters? Where are you on charters?
Charter schools, as long as they're presented the right way, I'm in favor of some.
Hey, the governor's been using Obama against you.
We want to talk about this dynamic because you and I and Kirk have talked about it a lot.
In fact, last week.
Mike's talked about it a whole lot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but the governor's using Obama against you because he didn't carry a county in Oklahoma. You're using Barisi against her. She didn't carry a county in Oklahoma.
I think we ought to let Barisi rest in peace is what I
Well, no, but so go ahead. Why has Barisi become such an issue in the general election?
Janet Barisi from day one started off as a hot button at the Capitol. She came in challenging the legislators and telling the legislators what to do and throwing her weight around. And that was not taken the best way with legislators who were working to address the needs of their constituents. She made enemies right off the bat, and she was hostile towards many of her educators. Instead of being a state superintendent that worked with educators locally, she told them what they were going to do and tried to enforce her nationalized standards on them. We've got to have a state superintendent who will work with the schools and make sure that they have the opportunities.
But Joe, really, didn't you just do some polling and find out who the most unpopular person was and put it on your ad?
That helps.
Come on now. Come on.
That helps.
Well,
How's that for an honest answer? That helps. So polling shows what you just said. I got you.
By the numbers, there is only one person more unpopular in elected office than the president in the state of Oklahoma.
It's
and
not
that
Mac
is Janet
Brown,
Barisi.
huh? Okay.
It's not Mac Brown.
Is Janet Barisi is more unpopular than Barack Obama in Oklahoma?
That is true.
Okay.
let me ask you this. You've been a lawmaker for 12 years. You've been a high-profile lawmaker for 12 years out of Rush Springs. You're behind in the polls. Depending on what poll you look at, it's closer or further apart. What do you think is going to happen on Tuesday?
I think it's going to be the closest election for governor in state history, and we're going to squeak out a win.
Really?
I do.
What is your polling showing?
Our polling shows it's within 1 point.
And what is your poll show?
Well, I don't have a poll, but
The polls you're looking
one
at.
of the major networks had a poll last week that showed a 24-point margin for Fallon.
Well,
And if you look at the methodology, and this is one of the benefits of me having studied this for so long, they showed that she was 22 points up, but they had a 26% increase over, with Republicans surveyed over Democrats. So when you survey 26% more Republicans than Democrats, and she's only beating me by 22%, I like those odds.
talk about your funding.
We'll see.
I saw since August you both raised what?
We both have raised close to $800,000 on the last two ethics reports. I actually outraised her on both of those.
So,
Yeah.
but to be fair,
So funding.
you know, the governor's raised over $4 million.
Yeah.
You can only give so much legally, and we try to do it legally. We're not like some other people have been.
Yeah.
And so if you've already maxed out, you maxed out, and you did that early.
Yeah. So it's about $4 million to $1 million, but in the last two election quarter reporting periods, it's about $800,000 each. Is that
Who are your contributors? If you could
name them all.
If you could
Just
define
kidding.
them, what kind of person contributes to the Joe Dorman campaign?
That's a great question. If you look at our last ethics report, Mary's contributions totaled about 70 pages. Mine were about 140 pages. So I have those low donors, the people who are living paycheck to paycheck, that are struggling to make ends meet, they're helping. One story that sticks with me, I was in Ponca City at the end of last month. A lady who's on a fixed income of $700, 2 days before the end of the month, walked up and handed me a $20 bill and said it was her last $20 for that month. And she felt like she wanted to help out and do something. She gave me her last $20. Those are the people I'm fighting for.
Issue by issue,
We're
identify some where you guys are different.
getting close.
Besides just the education issue, like what, Medicaid funding?
Medicaid expansion, that's money we have sent to Washington, D.C. as Oklahomans. It's money that should come back for use in Oklahoma. The Hospital Association has said between 12 and 36 hospitals across our state are going to shut down or significantly reduce services if we don't take those funds.
Joe, how could you work with a Republican legislature in both houses?
Easily. I've done it for 12 years. Senator Patrick Anderson, the senator in Enid, the sitting senator, announced his support for my campaign a few weeks ago.
Is he a Repo?
He is
Yeah,
a
he is.
Republican.
Yeah.
And I've seen Republican support from my colleagues behind the scenes who are taking me around their districts as a courtesy, introducing me to their folks. I know I can work with them. Jeff Hickman, Speaker of the House, Brian Bingman, Pro Tem of the Senate. We have a great friendship. I know we will get along great, and I actually think we will get along better working together than with the current governor, their relationship.
What about a closing thought for the viewers?
Give me 30 seconds.
30 seconds. This election is one of the most critical in state history. It will determine the path over the next 4 years of the investment that we see in the future with our kids, the opportunities that we have to bring to our state. We deserve real leadership, not the type of leadership you see out of Washington, D.C., where people can't get along. I've made the commitment I will work with this legislature and do everything in my power to present the best opportunities for Oklahomans. It's been a great honor to serve as a state representative, and I hope the people will give me the chance to serve as their governor.
Joe Dorman, representative from Rush Springs, running for governor as a Democrat. Good luck on Tuesday. We'll see what happens, and of course, we'll be at your watch party there.
Which is where?
The Cox Convention Center,
okay,
open to the public.
We'll see you then. Another race that is very tight will be for the state school superintendent race that Janet Barisi is holding, but is going to relinquish soon. John Cox is our guest next, the Democrat running for that position, coming up on Flashpoint.
Come on down.
Flashpoint, sponsored by Love's Travel.